What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Hook One Pod. Hey, we're back here in the studio at Hook One Bait and Tackle, and I'm your host, as always, Pete. We had a show with a guest lined up. Some things came up. Baby got a little sick this weekend, and I thought this would be a really good time. We're gonna have our guest come in next week, but this week I thought would be a really good time to touch on what's coming up for the Ultimate Fishing Show. So, as you guys know, for the last 3 years, we've been at the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi, Michigan. It's the biggest fishing show that Michigan has to offer, and it's an awesome show. It's got everything from trolling to jigging to casting, walleye, bass, panfish, salmon, ice fishing, open water fishing, fishing accessories, camping accessories. There's smokehouses there. There's a trout pond for kids to catch in. There's multiple different seminar rooms and seminar stages. There's boat sales going on. There's lodges with outfitters. There's charter captains. It's basically the entire fishing industry with a sprinkle of the outdoor industry all in one place. And again, that is from January 9th till January 12th in Novi, Michigan at the Suburban Collection Showplace. It is one of our favorite events of the entire year. We absolutely love going to the show. We love participating in it. It's really cool for us because we get to see all of our friends in the industry all in one place. But it is a lot of fun and it's really good. And you might be asking yourself, well, Pete, it's only the middle of December. What are we bringing this up for? Well, because it's going to be here like that. As soon as we blink, guys, it's going to be there. I mean, we're essentially 2.5 weeks out from Christmas. A week after Christmas is the New Year. And a week after the New Year, we're down there setting up for the show. A week and a half after the New Year, it's there, right? A couple days later, it's time for the show. So the reason we're doing this is to give you guys kind of an idea of what we're going to be bringing down there, what we're going to have in the booth, what's going to be new. This is a sneak peek for you guys because we always do a Facebook Live in between Christmas and New Year over on our Hook One Bait and Tackle Facebook page. And that is where we'll do a lot. Well, anyone that follows our Facebook page will be able to see all the updates, what we're bringing down, the new stuff we're bringing, some of the show colors, and just some basic information about the show, where you can find us. Well, for you guys, we're going to go over that right now. We're going to give you guys a sneak peek, a little heads up into it. We're actually going to be giving away 2 pairs of tickets to the fishing show. So 2 different people that are watching this video, and we'll talk about it later, but it's going to be your classic. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Head down into the comments and let us know that you've shared it and what you're excited for the fishing show. So that's all you need to do to enter. We're giving away 2 pairs. So 2 different people will win 2 tickets. So for you and a friend, or you and the wife, or you and the son or nephew, or whoever you want to bring, you guys can come down there. They're tickets to the show. You'll get in free. You can come hang out at the booth, chat with us, hang out with us for a little bit, and then go enjoy your way. If you guys have been to the show before, you know how big it is and how much space that you guys have to cover. If you've never been to the show before, it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of booths, but it is a super fun time. I've been going as a spectator or just kind of as a consumer. I went for about 3 or 4 years. I worked it for a year in the booth with the guys from Fishing 411 and Offshore Tackle, and now we're fortunate to have our own booth that we'll be splitting again this year with Mag's Custom Rods. We'll get into all that probably right here in just a second. So first off, sorry guys, we're recording this one early, so I'm gonna need a load of coffee. First off, let me thank everyone that allows us to do this. Like always, guys, I got to give a huge shout out to Whitewater Fish, Cortland Line, Great Lakes Anglers Co. and their coffee, and obviously Papa's Pilar Rum. These guys have been awesome with us. Papa's Pilar, we've already done a few giveaways. We're going to have a new giveaway coming up again. We're going to be giving away another one of these bottles here in the new year. Whitewater Fish has been awesome, guys. They also, if you check out the discount codes right here, obviously you can save money. I know I'm preaching to you guys, but I always hear all the time people coming in the store, fishing's getting expensive. This is going on, that's going on, trying to save some money here, save some money there. This is your way to save money, at least through us. Like, obviously we have sales in the stores, but with these companies direct, you can use these coupon codes right here that you see and save yourself some money. So they don't pay us straight up. The way it works is they allow us to give you guys a coupon code where you guys can save some money. And that's how we wanted to structure things, because that gets the product in your hands. And that's the whole goal. Whitewater just came out with a new insulated suit for ice fishing. You know how I feel about ice fishing, although we'll see what happens this year. I'm gonna have a hard time running from ice fishing this year. I think it's coming, and it's gonna be here to stay this year. But I love that insulated suit. I got it back in, I don't know, July or August. Obviously, you don't need an insulated suit then, but I got to put it to the test in October and November. It got released late October, and it's a super nice suit. It's definitely up there in price point. If you use the code, you can save 25%. But the reason it's up there in price point is it is one of the best. It is definitely one of the best. We've been fortunate enough to wear a few other brands. I've been super happy with my Whitewater insulated suit. Extremely comfortable, extremely warm, waterproof, windproof. Definitely they knocked it out of the park. So again, guys, if it wasn't for these guys, it'd be a lot harder to do what we do. And obviously, if it wasn't for you guys, it'd be a lot harder to do what we do. So you guys continuing to share this, continuing to tell your friends and let them know what we're doing and what we've got going on here has been awesome. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know we've missed, I think we've only missed 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since we've got started kind of going full go on this thing. Lots been going on with the baby and everything, and mama, everything's good. Everyone's healthy. So no complaints there at all, but obviously life kind of gets in the way. But again, we really look forward to the new year. We've got a plan written up. We look forward to bringing you guys a lot more content. And with that comes, more podcasts, more guests. We've got, we're going to have a lot more shop talk. So if any of you guys have seen the shop talk segments that I've done, we're going to be doing a lot more of that. We're going to be talking a lot more about the specifics of things too. The specificness of, choosing your line, or why you're going to use this jig over another jig, or why you want to fish this area instead of another area. You guys have kind of reached out and said that's something you want to hear. So we're going to be happy to bring that to you with the shop talks and everything. We might even I'm going to try and format the shop talks in like those information segments, so it's not all visual. So that way I can just post it on our podcast page. So that way for you guys that like to listen on your way to work, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Pocket Casts or whatever, you guys will still be able to get that information. You guys will still be able to listen to it on your way to work. Those segments are going to be a lot shorter. I'm thinking probably 10 minutes for a lot of those segments, but for nice little shooters or just little information, stuff that you're just looking to tighten up, that's really what we want to bring to you guys. So we're looking forward to that as well. But enough of that. Enough of looking into the future. It's easy. You get close to the new year, guys, and you start thinking about all those things that you didn't get done in the year before, or all the things that you want to get done in the next year coming up. But we're going to save that for an episode right after the new year. We're going to dive into the fishing show. Let's get right into it, guys. So I'm going to post up a map right here. Boom. That's going to show you how to get to our booth. Our booth number is 2753, and we split it with Mag's Custom Rods. So we've got a 20-foot by 40-foot section. So we've got about 800 square feet of fishing. We've got on the one half, it's all of Mags and his custom rods. This year, he's going to have his 6'2" and 5'10" vertical jigging rods, bait caster, and spinning rods. That is the best place, you guys, to get a rod that's not a stock rod. It's got different colors, different wraps, different handles, different grips. That's the place if you're looking to get, a rod that's custom, but you don't feel like building a fully custom rod, or you don't feel like paying shipping. That's where you can go get your custom rod. So he's going to have his full lineup of his walleye jigging rods. We're also going to have all of his walleye casting rods, all of his bass rods, spinning and bait caster, his panfish rods, his 7-foot medium moderates, and all of his ice fishing rods, which, hint, hint, before it hits Facebook, we've got some ice fishing rods coming. We've got the Mags Power Noodle, the Mags Medium Light, and the Mags Medium all coming to the store. We'll have them on the shelf next week for you guys that are gearing up for ice fishing season. We'll have those rods. So Pat has half the booth, and then we've got the other half of the booth. So it's fun because it allows us to kind of pair some things up, right? Like, oh, you need a rod? Well, we've got the bait for it. Or, oh, you need some bait, but you're looking for a rod? Well, he's got the rods for you. So we're really looking forward to that. Last year went really well. We had a ton of room in the booth, which was the biggest thing for us. When you get to these fishing shows, it gets really easy for the booth to get crammed between people talking, old friends meeting up, people looking at baits, people trying to buy baits, people trying to find deals, because a lot of times you can go to these shows and find deals, which we're going to have some killer deals we'll dive into as we get into the product. But a lot of people go to the shows looking for deals. We're there to sell, you're there to buy. Perfect marriage, right? So it's nice to be able to have extra space. Instead of having a curtain up in between us, we just can walk in between the two booths. So it works out really well. As far as our booth goes, if you've been there before, if you've been there in the years past, it's going to be set up really similar to years past. We're going to have a ton of walleye gear. This year, we're going to bring more forward-facing sonar baits. Obviously, as live scope gets popular, dun dun dun, the dangerous word live scope, the trigger button for a lot of people. So, for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you ever hear that quick moment, it's just me drinking some coffee. Don't worry, we didn't skip out. So anyway, we're gonna have a big forward-facing sonar section for those live scopers, jigs, baits, and all that sort of stuff. So we're gonna have that. We're obviously gonna have a big selection of our musky baits. We need to get rid of the musky baits. We're gonna have an insane deal on musky baits. It's probably gonna be 25% off every single musky bait that's in the booth. I got to get rid of them. There's just not really a market for them for us, and obviously we're going to continue to go in the bass and the walleye world. And with that being said, we're going to have a much bigger bass section this year. We're going to have a ton of drop shot baits, Ned rig baits, swim baits. We're going to be bringing the Smeltnator jigs, which were an extremely popular jig. We'll have the Smeltnators with us. We'll have a little bit of terminal tackle there. We're not going to bring a ton of terminal tackle. We'll probably bring some hooks. We'll probably bring some sinkers and stuff like that, but it's mostly going to be revolving around baits. So we're going to have those. We're going to have the new Berkeley drip minnows. Those are awesome baits. So really looking forward to adding a little bass section to it. But yeah, you know what? Let's just start at the front of the booth and work our way back. So we're going to have at the front of the booth, we're going to have the Fat Boy jigs. So as you're coming down the aisle, you're going to see a big section right there with Fat Boy jigs right at the intersection. So Roy's been with us since the very beginning. He loves doing the show. We love doing the show. He goes all out. If you guys could see the videos he's been sending me of his jig stock and what he's been creating for the show, it's been insane. So he usually does a really good job too with some show colors or some doorbuster colors. We're really looking forward to having Roy in the booth this year. We're really locked in on what we want to bring and what we want to provide. He is going to have some new stuff there. I'm not allowed to talk about it until he talks about it, so maybe we'll have him on the show before we get to the actual fishing show. So we're going to have a huge selection of Fat Boy jigs, and for a lot of our customers, that's what we love. 1 ounce, 3/4 ounce, maybe some half ounce in there, definitely some 5/8. So he's going to have the full array of walleye jigs. He'll probably have some casting jigs as well. So we're really looking forward to having Roy back. I'm sure we'll be doing some giveaways and stuff like that too. If you head over to his page, Fat Boy Jigs on Facebook, you'll be able to follow a lot of the stuff that's going along there. So we're going to have Roy's Jigs, and at the same place we're going to have Roy's Jigs, we're going to have all of our new Hook 1 baits. So we're going to have our 10 new paddle tail colors, our 5 new split tail colors, plus our other 5 colors that we came out with last year. So you'll be able to one-stop shop if you're a jig fisherman. You're going to have jigs, you're going to have stingers, you're going to have plastics right there. Now, as well as our plastics, see, I had to write notes because as the booth gets bigger, products get bigger, obviously. And I've got enough going on, so I've got a hard time remembering it all. So we're obviously going to have the Fat Boy jigs. We're obviously going to have our Hook 1 plastics. On top of our Hook 1 plastics, we're going to be bringing the new Northland eye candy plastics. So those plastics are going to be really similar if you guys are familiar with Z-Man and Z-Man's Elastec technology. Northland has their own technology that's very similar. So these baits are very stretchy, very durable, and very unique. They look a lot different. They're ribbed, and they look a lot different than what you'd be typically expecting. So I'm really excited to bring those in. I want to get them out in front of people. We obviously have them in the store. We've had them. We got them late though last year. We got them towards like the middle to end of May. And the way our bite went last year, it was a tough bite. I mean, for you guys that are around here, you know, it was a tough bite, and jig and bite was really tough. So we got those eye candies a little late. I'm looking forward to bringing those to the show. There's an eye candy minnow and an eye candy jig crawler. Now the jig crawler is much smaller. It's a 3.5-inch bait, but it's a lot thinner. That bait is money for jigs that are 5/8 ounce and below. 5/8, half, 3/8. A lot of the times I'm using those jig crawlers when I'm in the lake or transitioning into that summer bite. And again, they're very durable. They last a long time. They're a very stretchy material. We'll have samples in the booth so you can see it. But you're going to have a hard time having fish just bite that lure off. You'll be able to use it till you lose it. That's kind of our saying, as long as you can use it till you lose it, because eventually something on the bottom of the river will grab your jig or your stinger and it's gone. So we'll have the eye candy plastics there. We're going to have the stinger hooks. We're going to have a ton of ProCure bait scents. We've got a lot of ProCure here at the store right now. We've been talking. Actually, you'll hear it from our next guest next week, more about what ProCure is going to be coming out with. But they're coming out with a 3-pack, which is essentially like 3 of their favorite. There's multiple different ones, but it's 3 flavors that kind of all go together. So you're looking at like an emerald shine or a bloody tuna and a goby. And they're right there already in a 3-pack in one box. So we're hoping to have those as well, but we're going to have plenty of bait scents for you guys that don't like to use live bait. I know that's a big thing, especially around here. Here, Detroit River, Saginaw River, we do a lot of tipping with emerald shiners, and then eventually some guys are tipping with night crawlers as well. So this kind of gives you an option if you don't want to be dealing with minnows, you don't want to be dealing with night crawlers. Does it work as effective? That's for you guys to argue about in the comments. But it does give you a little bit of stank on your bait. It gives you a little bit of scent. Something that'll at least get those fish to trigger, especially when they're in that neutral state, when they're not ready to bite, water's cold. So the ProCure bait scents have been really popular with us every year. So I'm looking forward to bringing those as well. And then the last thing, but not least, certainly, is our jig boxes. So we carry 2 different jig boxes right now in the store. We carry the Groove Big Jig Box, and we carry the Plano Edge 3600 jig box. Both of them are very nice. Both of them work really well. They have a little bit different sizes to them. They both fit around 70 jigs when you layer them in there nice. You can obviously cram more in, but comfortably they fit about 70 jigs, 1 ounce, 3/4, 5/8. Now, if you throw 5/8 in there, you could probably get a little bit more. But as far as like 1/8 or 1 ounce and 3/4 ounce go, you're at about 70 jigs. Shameless plug. Right now, you can come into the store until December 23rd and get yourself a Groove Big Jig Box for only $20. They're 30% off. They will not be 30% off at the show. So anyway, I cracked myself up. Anyway, so we're going to have the jig boxes there. Now, the jig boxes are, to me, one of the most underrated pieces of equipment that I have in my boat, because we spend all this money on jigs. Now, if you buy Roy's jigs, they have a lot harder time chipping. But if you buy jigs, you'll know that like a lot of times you'll just throw them in a tackle box, and as they bounce around in the boat, because typically we store them in the front of the boat, typically as you're hitting waves, the front of that boat, smacking the waves, those jigs are hitting each other and they're chipping. But what's the point of spending, $25, $50, $100 on jigs if they're just going to be chipped up before we can even use them? So what these jig boxes do is they utilize being able to store the hook to where the jigs don't move at all. So the jig boxes are very imperative. They're a very nice piece of equipment. If you're a vertical jig fisherman like me, I highly suggest at least looking into them. Now, there's a lot of different options out there. Again, I have both options. I've used the Groove for about probably going on like 7 or 8 years now. I actually have my original Groove box, and it works. It still works really well. I don't deal with a lot of rust on the hooks. The silicone in there isn't getting worn out. It's not like my jigs are flying around, bouncing around everywhere. So I've been really happy with them. Now, I will say the new Groove or the new Plano Edge jig box it seems like a little step above. The handle, geez Louise. The handle or the hatch that closes the box is a lot nicer. Instead of like magnets closing the box, it's like a big clip like any of the Plano Edges are. So that's really nice. It's got the water wick technology on the inside. So like, when I got it from the rep, he told me, leave it in your boat. Those hot, humid days, leave it in your boat. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Haven't had any rust. Haven't even had any moisture inside the box. So I've been really happy with that. I like that I can layer them upside down so I know exactly how it all looks. But I've been really, really happy with the way that the Edge has been working. And the Edge is a traditional 3600 size, so the Groove is a little bit shorter and a little bit fatter or like taller, but the Plano is a traditional 3600 size. So like if you have compartments in your boat or if you have a backpack that carries, that certain size tackle box, that's kind of the way to go, just because it's it's the right size, right? It's thinner. It's the exact dimensions of a 3600. So I've been really happy with that. So when you first come into the booth, I know all that talking and all that air just to explain the first section of the booth. So when you first come into the booth, that's what you're going to see when you're coming from the intersection. As you work your way to the middle of the booth, you're going to notice there's going to be all the crankbaits. So we're going to have all of our JT custom tackle baits, which to me are some of the best paint jobs in the entire business. What we're going to have is Flicker Minnow 11s, Flicker Minnow 9s, Flicker Shad 7s, and all of our bandits, which is over 70 colors of bandits. All of those will be at the store or at the booth right there, right in the middle. Usually we have a big wall set up. It's 7 feet tall of just crankbaits. So we're going to have all of those crankbaits as well as all of the Bill Lewis Precise Walleye cranks. Those are going to be an insane deal for the show. That's going to be one of our show specials is our Bill Lewis Precise Walleye crank. You'll have to stay tuned to find out, but they're going to be right around that $10 mark for a brand new bait. If you have questions about the Bill Lewis, because we're going to have the PWCs and the PWC lights. They're new light bait. Now, those won't be on sale just because they're a newer bait, but we will have our full selection of those as well. I think we have like 10 or 12 colors of those. Now, if you have questions on the Bill Lewis PWC bite, go back a couple episodes. And it was our episode with our friend Jake Romanak from Fishing 411. The episode, I think, is called The 411 with Fishing 411. And we talked to Jake about what he's learned since he's designed that bait, how he fishes them, what makes that bait unique. Now that we have a couple years of production into them, you know, he talks a lot about that bait. And then they also give kind of a heads up about what's coming up with Fishing 411 in the new season that they have coming up. So that's a really cool episode, especially if you want to learn about these PWCs, because they've been a really good bait. We've had a hard time, it seems like, at the store getting traction on those baits, but it's because people are so used to flicker minnows and bandits, but it's been a really good bait. So we're going to go to the show. We're going to sell them for $10. And the reason we're going to sell them for $10 is because we are confident enough that if you start putting them in your box, you will continue to use them. So they'll be $10 down there at the show. And then we're also going to have part of our wall that we didn't have last year, and every day it's going to rotate, but we're going to have a sale wall. So we're going to take some of those custom crankbaits from JT, and we're going to put them on the sale side of the wall, where you'll be able to pick up those custom bandits. Instead of being $12.99, they're going to be $10. So you guys will be able to save a ton of money, depending what day you come down. Maybe come down all 4 days and see how the wall changes. But depending when you guys come down, we're going to be rotating that wall as well. And again, it's just to give people an opportunity. We sat down as a team. You know, a lot of thought goes into these shows, and we've got a really good team of people that are going to be down there. I mean, I could rattle them off, essentially all of them right now. And a lot of them, some of you guys might know. But there's going to be me down there. You're going to see Allie down there. Allie's usually the boss woman behind the cash register. Good luck rattling her. She's rock solid. So thank you, Allie, for all your help. But there's going to be me, Allie. We're going to have everyone from the store. We're going to have Dean. We're going to have Nate. We're going to have Parker down there. We're going to have Captain Joe down there with us. We're going to have Chase Gronley down there talking electronics, and he's going to have electronics with us. We're going to have Roy from Fat Boy Jigs down there. We're going to have Eric Carlson, who we recently did an episode with. We're going to have Rob Jones, who we recently did an episode with, and a couple other people as well. I just kind of got to tidy it up to see who's all coming. I'm sure I'll get some texts after this episode that I left them out. So if I left you out, I apologize. But guys, we put together a really good team. We put together a group of guys that do a little bit of everything, from trolling to casting to jigging to bass fishing to, you know, pulling spinners. We're going to have all those guys down there. And so that's what we're really excited about. It's not only a place for you to come buy product, but it's a place for you to come get some education, to ask questions, to understand what you're using and understand what you're buying. So when we sit down with these guys every year, we talk about like, hey, what do you guys want to do for the show and what are we trying to do, right? So this year we really want to emphasize, you know, getting crankbaits in people's hands at a good price to just show, you know, some of you guys that might be skeptical, do custom colors really matter? You know, do we really want to run something that different or that outlandish? Or, you know, maybe I don't really trust blues, but if I can get some of these blue custom baits for a cheaper price, then maybe I'll try them. So our whole goal this year is to get you guys trying something new. And by you guys, I mean, obviously a lot of you guys that follow us are river fishermen. We are Hook One Bait and Tackle on the St. Clair River. We are river fishermen. but there's a lot of opportunity out there on a lake, and it's not even 20 miles from our dock to get out to some of the best walleye trolling that you're going to find. I mean, minus Lake Erie, it's some of the best fishing that you're going to find. So that's what we've got going on as far as our crankbait wall. All of our custom flicker minnows, all of our custom flicker shads, custom bandits, Bill Lewis PWC lights, and then obviously the clearance wall. Or not, I shouldn't even call it clearance because it's not clearance technically, but it's our sale wall. And that's going to be one of our big show specials for you guys. So we're looking forward to that. On top of that, with the trolling stuff, we're also going to have our double-sided crankbait boxes that go over really popular. A lot of the times I have the guys make up kits. Like, hey guys, put these boxes together. I believe they hold, this is horrible, I don't even know this, but I believe they hold 14 baits. It's 7 on each side, and then you flip it over and it's 7 more. Usually we'll have the team put together some custom crankbait boxes. Like I'll have, Roy, who's up like towards Saginaw Bay area, or over towards Saginaw Bay area, I should say. I'll have him put together a Saginaw Bay box. So if you guys like to fish Saginaw Bay, here's a box. These are some of our favorite colors for this. Or I'll have, Joe put together a Lake St. Clair box, or I'll have Rob put together a Lake Erie box. And we're specifically choosing colors for that fishery because it does make a difference. You'd be surprised. We've talked about it a lot before. I don't really want to get into it a ton on this episode, but they definitely make a difference. Erie's purples and greens. You come over to Lake St. Clair and you're looking at a lot of your perch combinations. Saginaw Bay, also purples and greens. You run into a little bit more chartreuse colors up there as well, but that's all for the show, guys. We'll be happy to talk about it when we're down there, but they put together these boxes, and if you don't want one of their boxes, then you can make your own box. We usually save you a little bit of money if you buy, if you fill the box and then you buy the box, we'll save you a little bit of money. So that's always a fun thing to do as well. And we are loaded up on boxes this year. Usually we run out of the tackle boxes. Hopefully, I don't think that's going to be an option this year. I think we've got plenty. And then we'll also have our offshore boards as well. Now, there's other... I'm aware that there's other places around that probably have better deals on the offshore boards. We're going to have them priced as good as we can down there. But it'll give you an option to kind of get set up all in one place. Here's your boards, here's your crankbaits, here's your box. Now go have fun. Now, if the weather is like it is today, right now, it's 36 degrees and it's calm, we're fishing. Probably going to hit the 40s today. You could go out and take that box out right away. Now, looking at the 10-day forecast, it's a little temperamental. Some days it's showing ice. Some days it's showing warmth. We'll see if you'll be able to use it right away, but if not, you'll be able to use it by at least March, chasing some big walleyes. And hopefully you get to put, last year we sold a lot of baits at the show, and I got a couple text messages the week after of a lot of like 7 to 9 pound fish and even a couple 10 pounders on baits that these guys just bought. Like, hey, just bought this stuff, went out there and caught our fish. And I'm like, man, I wish I could go out there and do that. But unfortunately, we're usually stuck in the shop cleaning up. But that's what we'll have as far as trolling goes. It'll be a really nice trolling section. We're going to have a lot of knowledge. Oh, we're going to have how can I forget this, guys? We're going to have the JT Custom Tackle Painter in our booth. We're going to have Josh with us all weekends. We call him Sluggo, but we're going to have Josh with us all weekend. This dude is an absolute artist. And Jeff. Jeff's going to be with us as well. JVT, he's going to be in the booth as well. All these names, of course, are hitting me as I'm moving on. But they're going to be with us as well. Josh is the guy to talk to about painting these crankbaits. He comes up with most of these patterns. He's painting 99% of what's on that wall. He's an awesome dude to talk to, super friendly. And a lot of the times I like just picking his brain, like, how'd you come up with that? How'd you come up with this? And then I start picking his brain. Can I see the pictures in your phone? Can I see what baits are coming out next? That answer is always no. But the new baits he's coming out with are fire. We will have some new baits, but I don't know exactly what patterns we're going to settle on right now. So we're going to see how that goes. But we will have some new JT baits. I think we're going to go with new flicker. I think the baits we're going to have new baits on are going to be brand new. I think we're going to have bandits, JT flicker 11s, and I think we're going to try and do flicker 9s as well. But we'll have new patterns on all that. Should be a really fun time. And then obviously talking about what we already talked about, the new part of the booth. So if you've been to our booth every single year, we've had the jigs, we've had the harness, or we've had the jigs, we've had the trolling baits, we've had the musky baits. But now we're bringing in a lot of forward-facing sonar baits. We're bringing in some miscellaneous items. We're bringing in some bass baits. and we're bringing a full line of our spinners. So we had that a lot last year. We had a lot of people asking for stingers and a lot of people asking for crawler harnesses and spinners next year. So we're going to bring everything that we've got in the store down to the show. We'll have all of our crawler harnesses. So for you guys that have been in the store, you know how big that section is. Plenty of spinners. I haven't even counted them. I know there's over 100, probably over 120 different spinners. So we're going to bring all our crawler harnesses down to the show. We're going to be bringing for forward-facing sonar baits. Obviously, our hook one paddling minnows are going to be there for you guys that like just fishing a jig and a paddle tail. We're also going to have the new Berkley finishers, which have won a couple tournaments this year. They've got a couple wins under their belt already as a brand new bait. Those baits have been absolutely killer as far as forward-facing sonar and fishing open water. And like I like to call it power fishing, but just bombing out casts and aggressively working that bait back to the boat and just covering water. So we're going to have all of our Berkley finishers. I believe it's a dozen colors, maybe more, of our finishers. We got them in size 9 and size 7. So those are probably the two most popular sizes out here. Whether you're in the river, on the lake, up in Huron. They're used actually quite a bit up in Huron and then down in Lake Erie as well. So we'll have those. We'll also have the Berkley switch, which a lot of you guys might not know about. We carry it in the store. It's a hard sell sometimes just because it's a bait with the jig head inside of it, but it's a really good bait. It's got a foil inside to it that kind of shimmers. Well, it really detects off that forward-facing sonar. So if you're one of those guys that use live scope, you're able to see it a lot better. It's the one I like to use is the 3/8 ounce. I love using it. I don't use them too much in the river. I love using them out in the channels, end of the North Channel, Middle Channel, South Channel, or out in the lake. And I actually like out in the North and the South Channel, I like fishing them vertical. I'll just drop them straight down and jig them. Middle Channel and then out in the lake, I typically cast them a little bit more. But I've been really happy with those baits. That's why it's been really interesting to me why they've been such a tough sell, because I've had a lot of success with them. I've had success with them, not so much early spring, but like late spring, summer, fall. I've had a lot of luck with them. So we're going to bring those baits as well. Super excited about that. We're going to have the jigs and paddle tails, and then we're going to have a whole bass section as well, like I mentioned before. So we're going to have all of our drop shot baits. We're going to have our Berkley flatworms. We're going to have our Z2s, our Strike King Z2s and baby Z2s. We're going to have the new Kitech swing bait, that 2.8-inch swing bait, which has been an awesome bait. Super excited about that. I think we still have a few of the darters left from Poor Boy's Baits. So we're going to bring in all of our drop shot baits, as well as a lot of like our creature baits, Ned rig baits. Obviously like the crawfish. We'll bring in a lot of our terminal tackle, football jigs, smeltinators, stuff like that. So for you guys that like to bass fish or that want to try bass fishing, we'll have that opportunity for you there. We're going to have one of the better brains of bass fishing in the booth with us. You have any questions, you find Captain Joe, ask Captain Joe questions. You really want to learn from him, you can go to Smallmouth Heaven Guide Service, LakeSt. Clair Bass.com, and book a trip with Captain Joe. But Joe's going to be there with us, and he's going to be talking. Obviously, he's a little bit of everything. He has the opportunity where he's at to do a lot of walleye fishing, a lot of walleye trolling, a lot of jigging the Detroit River. But bass is kind of where he hangs his hat. So any questions you have, we'll be down there answering those questions as well. And then a new thing we're going to have this year, I talked about our sail wall for our crankbaits, but we're also going to have we're going to have a bunch of clearance bins. So there's stuff that's been stocking up in the store since we've opened in 2021. Perfectly good baits, perfectly packaged, and a lot of them are in the clearance bin, not because they're a bad bait, but because maybe the manufacturer changed packaging and the packaging looks different. Or maybe they changed their colors, and so now their color, what am I trying to think of here? Now their pattern is essentially different. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, like with plastics, guys will get new molds, or they'll start running newer colors that seem to take off. So then the older ones are still around. People forget about the older ones, and then a couple years later, they're like, oh, I want that. So we're going to have those in the booth as well. And basically a way for you guys to save a lot of money. We're going to have some clearance stinger hooks in there, clearance terminal tackle in there, plastics, crankbaits, hair jigs. I'm trying to think of what else is on that wall right now in the store. Jigs in general, the new Berkley Fusion jigs. The Berkley Fusion jigs have been a great jig for us. They're a really nice jig, super good quality on the hooks. But unfortunately, they came out with a new style, new packaging, new style. Well, in with the new, out with the old. We've already got the new hybrid jigs in. So it's time to sell those old fusion jigs. So for example, like that's something that's going to be in the bins as well. Most of that stuff's going to be half off, if not more. So we're looking forward to that. Besides for tackle, man, I need a sip of coffee here. Hang on, we're almost done. So besides for tackle, we're going to have all of our Hook One swag there. We're going to have our brand new Hook One hoodies down there. We're going to have what I'm wearing right now. We're going to have our Hook One whitewater tech shirts. So you got the Hook One logo on the front, and then you've got the St. Clair logo on the back, the St. Clair River logo on the back with the walleye and the jig. Super cool logo. I'm so happy that Casey was able to come up with that and get that over to us. So we're going to have those as well as hats. We've got a bunch of different hats, different color of hats this time. We've got dark gray, light gray hats. We've got our Hook One tumblers. We're going to have gift cards. We're going to have Chase is going to be bringing down some Garmin stuff. We might have some fish hawks. We might have some Garmin watches. We might have some stuff for your fish finder. Man, I think that's about everything right now, guys. I know I appreciate you guys hanging in there and rambling on. I was going to have Nate jump in here with me this morning, but unfortunately he's busy. We're bagging plastics in the back right now. So we got to kind of split it up going on. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to sit down with you guys one-on-one, 1 on 100, whatever it is. Hopefully one day it's 1 on 10,000. But I wanted to sit down with you guys one-on-one and really talk about what we planned on bringing down, why we plan on bringing it down, who we have coming down. Because to me, that's a big thing. Like a lot of the times when I would go to those shows, I'd feel almost intimidated when I'd walk in and there'd be a bunch of guys that I didn't know, or, you know, you go to ask somebody a question and they kind of brush you off because it's so busy in there all the time. And a lot of times that can be intimidating. So what we wanted to make was a welcoming atmosphere. A lot of the people that are going to be in the booth are people that you've seen before. Again, Rob Jones, we did a podcast with him. Roy Miller, we've done one with him. Eric Carlson, we've done one with him. We really need to get Sluggo on the call and get Josh on here talking about painting custom crankbaits and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be one. If that's something you'd want to hear, guys, let us know below in the comments for sure. Like, hey, I want to hear about painting crankbaits. Now, he's not going to give you any of his secrets, obviously, but kind of, you know, where the ideas come from and how he comes up with this stuff. And then how do you get a pattern from your head onto a piece of paper and then from a piece of paper onto a 4-inch, 4.5-inch bait. It's pretty cool. I think that'd be cool to hear about that stuff and how that goes on. You've seen Chase probably in the store. You've seen him on podcasts before. You've seen Joe on the podcast. You might have seen him on the water. You might have seen him in the store. Obviously, Pat and his whole crew, they're going to be right next door. They are a top-notch group. They are awesome at what they do. They're super friendly to deal with, so we love hanging out with those guys. But yeah, I think that's it, you guys. I don't think I really have anything else. If you guys have any questions, as always, please let us know. If you've got questions about the show, let us know down below in the comments. You can message us. If you don't want to let us know in the comments, or if for some reason you don't have like a YouTube profile where you can't comment, shoot us a message on Facebook or shoot us an email. If you have any questions, we're going to be happy to answer them. We are in full show mode right now. Obviously, we're trying to get through the holiday season. We are still running all of our holiday sales. We're going to be running those until December 23rd is what we set on it. So basically up until Christmas, we're running our holiday sales. So don't be afraid to stop in the store if you've got any questions. And then the last thing would be, and I hope to see a lot of comments down below, but our giveaway. Guys, we're going to be giving away 2 pairs of tickets to 2 different people. So one person gets 2 tickets, another person gets 2 tickets. All you got to do, guys, is be subscribed to the channel and comment below. I'm going to go through the comments. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to go through the comments. I'm going to write down everybody's name that left a comment. And all you got to let us know is that you're done. Just, you can comment done, but please let us know what you're looking forward to the show. And it doesn't have to be the Hook One booth. If you're excited to look at all the ice fishing stuff this year, if you're excited to go visit a seminar, if you're excited to go to the country smokehouse or go get some freaking pickles or whatever it might be, let us know below in the comments. I would love to know what you guys are looking forward to at the fishing show. So just let us know it's done. Just let us know what you're looking forward to. Next week, we'll pick a winner from the comments, and then we'll mail you guys your tickets. It'll just be easier that way. So we'll just throw them in an envelope and mail them to you. And then you won't have to worry about buying tickets. So with that being said, guys, one more time, I got to thank these guys that make it possible for me, because seriously, without working with them, I wouldn't be able to do it. So to the guys at Whitewater Fish, to the guys at Papa's Pilar Rum, to the guys at Cortland Tackle, and women, I shouldn't say just guys, but to the men and women at Great Lakes Anglers Co., and to the men and women at, well, what the heck, I just said them all. So thank you guys. Whitewater, Cortland Line, Papa's Pilar Rum, and Great Lakes Anglers Co. Guys, if you want to save some money, the discount codes are right here. Save yourselves some money. Use these codes. Go online. Get some shopping done for the holidays. And then again, we hope to see you guys at the show next week. We've got a guest lined up for you. We're really looking forward to that. We'll probably touch a little bit on the show, but we're going to talk a lot about fishing the next episode, so it won't be as much of this hoopla and blah, blah. We're going to get more into fishing. We're going to get more into that sort of stuff, so I'm really looking forward to that. Guys, you are the best. I really appreciate you guys tuning in this week, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week on the Hook One Pod. Adios.